Okay, today we're going to look at a Whirlpool refrigerator fan motor. Now, most people think when this stops that your refrigerator's done. Your fan stops blowing, and next thing you know, it overheats and your refrigerator dies. I've had it to where my parents had one of these stop, and I pulled the refrigerator forward, and there was actually a rat stuck in the fan, which stopped the fan. This one it hasn't stopped, but I'm doing general maintenance on it, and I just want to let everybody know how to keep this fan in good operating condition, because over time you can lose oil in it. It actually has oil in this fan, as do a lot of your electric motors for like your AC system, and some other refrigeration systems and things of that nature for high power type devices in your home that have motors. They need the oil to keep it from actually burning the bearings out. So on this one, I took the fan off because on the other side, hair can wrap around this, and I already have this off, but there was a bunch of hair and dirt and dust wrapped around this, which could also bind it up and cause it to not spin as well. So I'm cleaning that as well. I washed it off. It's perfectly fine to wash it off. It's zinc coated, so it's not going to rust really. Technically it's already rusted, but then there's a cap on the back. And what you want to do is take a flathead screwdriver where these screws are at, and pull up on the edge, on each edge of these screws. We use it for leverage to pop the cap off. When you get this cap off, there is a felt sponge, and mine's dry. It looks pretty dry. The back side's a little bit damp, but this sponge right here is totally dry, which is why it's turning white. So you can go to the hardware store. Ace is the best place I found to get this, and this isn't like a sponsorship for them, but this is the only place I could actually find this in my area, and it's turbine lubricating oil. This is a high temperature oil, and it also comes with a convenient nozzle that you can use to fill AC systems. So I just did my AC fan motors, which if you're interested in that, there's plenty of them online that tell you how to do it. Mine's so old I had to take the motor apart to lubricate it, which was a pain, but you only got to do it once a year. I might tap screws in it and just put some caps on it later for the AC system, but in the meantime it's working fine. There's also a blower motor on the inside of your house that needs this type of oil as well, and this is very good for AC systems as well, I believe. Good luck trying to find. See, it says from 1/3 to 5 horsepower, which is plenty for a lot of AC systems. So what you want to do is pop the cap off and soak this sponge here. Get nice, good. Nice and damp. You probably only need to do this once for the life of your refrigerator, because most people don't even know you really need to do this at all. I'm going to flip it and then do the other side. See how it's soaking through now? Get nice and moist. That should be good. Then you can pop this cap on with I'm going to use a rubber mallet. Try not to hit it too hard, just enough to get it back on. Let's see. Oh, I should have had this already. Set this on the ground. You want to get it nice and even on top. And you don't want to hit it too hard. A couple taps. Got it on there crooked. Let's try it again. It's kind of hard to do this with the phone in the hand. Matter of fact, I might set this down for a second so I can do it. Let's try that. Get it on there as level as you can, and then just tap the edge a little bit. I'd recommend using a rubber mallet. You don't need to hit it that hard. Make sure your fan still spins, like so. That looks pretty good. So you want to make sure the edges of this are pretty flush like they were before you took the cap off, so the oil doesn't leak out. Now you can set it on that and put the fan on. Fan blade back on. There is a gasket you want to put back on. A little tiny rubbery. I think this is anti-slip gasket. Or dust cap. It's probably a dust cap. Slide that back on. And then you have a tiny capturing screw. Pretty cheap, if you ask me, but it gets the job done. Let's rotate it on until, there you go, nice and snug. I'm going to do a little bit torque with my needle nose. There we go. Now, I think I put that back on the right way. Yeah. If you notice on the blade it says nut side. The reason being is you can put this fan on either way, so you got to make sure to put it back on the right side, because the rotation determines whether it's going to cool or heat. Let's go put this back in. It's only 4 screws, so this shouldn't take that long. Recap this. This oil's great, by the way. It's only like $5. Like I said, Ace Hardware. Good stuff. I bought 2 just in case. Let's go put this puppy back in. I'm going to show you the easiest way to get this back in. Sorry I didn't show the reverse order, but this instance holding the camera and taking it out would have been a pain. So this is your area. You're going to need to take a back panel off. I've done that already. it's got a couple screws. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws that you take off. You just put it on in reverse order. You taking it off. Now this fan is going to go in this way, like so. And the plug was facing out. As you can see, the plug right there. I'm going to clean this up more because this area gets really dirty. To help your refrigerator be more efficient, you can actually vacuum out. There's a coil under here that gets hair and dirt and all sorts of stuff. I would recommend cleaning it out. Just be careful not to suck out your insulation, because there's actually insulation in here. It also cleans up moisture. You do have a water pan back here too. You can empty that. You do that from the front though, not from the rear. Mine's pretty dry right now because it's been pretty hot lately. So now to put this back in, you're gonna, it's kind of a little bit, it's not too tricky, but a lot of people will try to go from this side. Don't do that. You can bend the copper tubing here, and you do not want to mess this up or puncture it in any way. Come through this way to the front and actually slide it in at an angle like so, and then you can put it back in on the other side like so. So like so. And then I'm going to screw this in real quick. Maybe I can prop it up to where you can see. How's that? Alright, that looks pretty good. Alright, let's put this puppy back in. Now there's only 4 screws, so you just gotta make sure you line the holes up, back up on how you actually reversing the installation from disassembly. First of all, you want to make sure you're careful with the fan, because it's a really thin sheet metal fan. You don't want to bend it. So you got one screw that's down here. Right here. I think it was. I do think earlier I had the screws down here. So this isn't right. There's a bunch of screw holes on this, so you gotta remember how you took it out. I remember that it was actually, you know, more up like this. So I remember taking the screw out down here. And then one up here. So. Yeah, it's easier. Now, screw right here. And one up here. Now I remember. Piece of cake. Make sure you put the fan back in. Fan plug should snap right back in. Didn't bend any of this. While you're here, you can clean up this area. Make sure there's no dirt or anything, or any of the cables or touching anything that might be hot, because you don't want the cable to melt. And you make sure the fan spins freely, so it's not binding or hitting or anything. Definitely want to get all the screws in first. Most people try to put one screw in and torque that down, and the next thing you know, they're untightening it. I always put all the screws in first and then tighten. And the last one. You might want to wear gloves because there is fiberglass. Like I said, the stuff down here is fiberglass. I'm used to it, so it does make your hands itchy. So you might want to put gloves on. I had gloves on earlier, but they ripped and I ran out. So I normally do wear proper PPE, which if you're messing with anything like with fiberglass or anything of that nature, you want to wear, you know, your gloves, your maybe glasses, depending. Okay, just good and tight. All right. And this is how the final product should look. Spin this. No binding. No rubbing. It was making a little bit of noise earlier. That's what prompted me to do this. Plug it back in. And there we go. It does make a little bit of a swashy noise, or a little bit of a sound when it turns on, because it's distributing the oil that's leaked down through when you serviced it. So that's basic servicing of the separate fan. Most people don't even know you can service it. But it has a removable cap on the back end that you use to fill it up, fill that little pad up. And it's starting to get a little bit quieter now. It's definitely running a lot better than it was. Now all I gotta do is put this back on. In reverse order of taking it off. I'm not gonna do that right now because I'm gonna clean the front part. Like I said, there's hair gets sucked in from this fan and just over time build up. Yeah, it's working pretty good now. Over time it'll probably even get even quieter. It's actually not that loud. But this can definitely save the life of your refrigerator. You need this fan. This fan keeps everything cool, or keeps your electronics and everything cool under here. So if this goes out, eventually your refrigerator will burn itself out. It's pretty much what any fan is for, to keep air circulation. When the they go out, your electronics go out, and they can get expensive, just like AC units. If you're interested in the AC unit portion, there were plenty online, or I mean, I guess I could go through it again, but my wife probably wouldn't like that. I have a 40-year-old system, so each motor there's two motors. You have the blower motor on the inside unit portion, or underneath the furnace, and then you have one on the outside exterior of the home for the external coil. And I had to take both of them apart to actually service them, which is ridiculous. A lot of the newer ones have service caps where you just pull the cap off and you oil it. Mine didn't have that. One thing for your AC system, outside of this, you definitely want to make sure your condenser coil on top of your HVAC unit, your furnace, is not clogged. Over time, you get hair and dust and all that, and it builds up. When I serviced mine, I had like 1/4 inch thick of hair and dust, like coated on the inside of my condenser. That kills your AC lifespan and your efficiency. So once I actually cleared that off, my AC unit was like blowing way cooler. Actually, maybe I'll show you real quick outside of this what I'm talking about. I don't know if I have a video on it. I might have did a video on it, but so we have an old GE, and I've been keeping it going since we lived here. I redid the electrical wiring inside, made sure that the furnace is still going good, even though we're not using it until wintertime. I might replace this burner since it's going pretty good. They have more efficient burners that you can swap out an aftermarket, but when you do that, normally you have to call like SMUD to make sure you don't have any gas leaks. Which we did have one here earlier at this valve that I fixed. Now your condenser coil is actually up on top of this unit behind here, and you have to take all these screws out. They have tons of screws, but once you remove this, you have a giant triangular coil in here, and on the inside of it, hair and dirt. Like when I sucked this out, it took me like an hour to clean it out because it was so dirty and nasty. As you can see, I retaped it and put all brand new ducting tape on it. I like to have everything done right. I don't leave because it makes it more efficient. You don't have to do it over and over again. This is, like I said, this is a 40-year-old unit and it's still going strong. It doesn't really use up too much energy. I mean, it's not as efficient as the newer systems, but I really don't want to shell out 10 grand to put a new one in. And down here is the blower motor. I pulled this out, and most people don't even realize that right on the side it tells you the rotation, but it also tells you need to service it. Motor oiling instructions, and it says oil with SAE10 motor oil. I tried finding some around here. I couldn't really find any, but like I said, that oil I showed you earlier in the video is good for this as well. It says for it's high temperature range and it's made for turbines. So this one I had to actually take this whole unit out. It slides out after you remove 2 screws, and the whole unit slides out. I had to disconnect the electrical here. You want to short the cap out so you don't get hurt. First unplug this, then take a screwdriver and arc across these 2 points to de-energize that capacitor. You do not want to touch that after it's been energized. That's why there's a warning. Taking apart the motor wasn't too bad. I actually, when I put it back together, I got it to balance better, the fan on the inside better, and now it doesn't really make, it used to make noise, now it doesn't make any noise. And the fan blade is adjustable, so when you put this back together after servicing it, like I serviced it, there's a bunch of hair and dirt inside the motor, and it was probably killing like the rotations of it and possibly a fire hazard. When I put it back together, because there was so much dirt and hair inside of it, I tried to realign the fan in the same position, but I found that once I turned it on, it actually started rubbing, because now it no longer had the dirt and hair in there to stop the motor from spinning outward and rubbing on the actual shroud. So then I readjusted the fan blade, and it makes no really low noise. You can't even really hear it through the door. But yeah, if you're interested in that, there are videos online, or like I said, I could do one later. I'm not going to do it now because it was a little bit time consuming to take it all apart and clean it. A little on a tangent. Anyways, if this video helped you, please give me a like and subscribe. And I hope this helped you out. Thank you.